Hello, welcome to Mr. Bob's Builds. On today's edition of What's Cooking on Mr. Bob's Bench, I'm going to talk about what I've been doing in the last month. And the answer to that is, well, not a lot really. I've made some progress on the Anchusa. It's fully built now and painting has progressed. It's doing well. I've completed another 1/35th scale model from the Bronco War Correspondents set, and that's the typist there you can see on his plinth. I've prepared and mounted the Faun figure, which I'm going to do for the group build, and my purchases for the month just consist of a airbrush, which is very exciting, and I'm going to tell you a bit more about each of those as we go through this episode. Oh, and nearly forgot, I've got some zombies too. Okay, this is how I'm as far as I've got with Anchusa. The build is complete. The boat there is, you'll see it hasn't got its bridge on, which I'm painting separately. And that's a very good point. I built this ship pretty much complete apart from the ship's boats and the bridge, and then started painting. Now that's a mistake because it's very difficult to get in and start painting details with the photo etch on and all the other bits. Next time I do a boat, and I will do another boat because I've enjoyed this one very much, I'm going to be doing it in stages, painting as I go, adding small parts on, ready painted, etc. The boat was a bit of a struggle. The parts were small, the plastic very soft, various bits are broken, but I could mend them or replace them with other parts. And the photo etch was, well, my goodness, it's so small. And although it looks quite good, as long as you don't look too closely, there's very few parts that are on there which aren't misshapen or wrongly bent or glued askew, but it does look the part. It's beginning to look like a ship battling through the Atlantic. The paints I've used have been Tamiya throughout for airbrushing. Both the pink and the blue are a mixture of matte blue, matte red, white and grey to varying degrees. And I toned it down with a bit of a darker grey, and the below the waterline, the instructions call out for black, but I've used life colour anthracite, which is a nice dark grey and leaves you plenty of room for a bit of light and shade on black areas. Now I'm going to move the ship around just for this movie, and it's going to wobble because it's on a trumpeter stand, which is meant for small aircraft, but I find it very useful for painting. Not quite a turntable, but I think, I hope you can see the details on there. It's really quite petite. When I've looked at photographs of this, I've realised that the mast, which this thing here, is a tiny bit upright. It should be slanted a bit further back, but I am going to rig this with stretched sprue, and I think that'll add a bit of tension to it as well. With lines going from front to back, I'll just add a tiny bit of pressure on it. Well, there you are. There'll be further updates of this in the next video, update next month, but also on the International Scale Modeler Forum, where I've got a thread going showing how the build went on. In case you'd like to see a few shots of the model being built and some of the close-ups of the photo etch, etc., I'll provide a link to the forum thread in the text below the video. Here we have a figure from the Bronco 1/35th British and Commonwealth War Correspondents set. The figure is of a journalist working for the Daily Express called Alan Wood, and he's depicted just after the landings in Arnhem in September in 1944. It's a picture which I'll put on the thread here, which is copyright of the Imperial War Museum, which shows the journalist typing his dispatch with the soldiers behind him, looking at the maps, finding out where to go next. Fantastic picture, and it's a fabulous little figure. He's just sitting on that stand as a temporary measure, so I can put him in the display cabinet, and what I intend to do is build the scene from the photograph. There's a couple of paratroopers from Masterbox series which will be ideal for the two characters standing in the background. I also now had a photograph of 4 of the other figures from this set, which I've painted over the summer months. They're all still on temporary stands waiting to be added to dioramas, etc. But they're absolutely fabulous little figures. It's a wonderful set, and I heartily recommend it. So look at the figure in a bit more detail. He's, as I say, it's not attached to a stand, so when I'm moving around he's going to wobble a bit. But he's on a wooden block with some plaster of Paris at the top, just to indicate a bit of rough ground where he's sitting on. The coloured patches are broken up leaves, just to add a bit of colour to the area. I'll just move him around so you can see a bit more detail. He will wobble. I think the Bronco have got this figure just right. It's a fantastic note. I mean, considering this is plastic, it's not resin, it's not white metal, but there's a lot of character in his face, and the figure comes together very, very nicely. As a set, the War Correspondents have just been brilliant and really unusual, very different. Now we come to Origen Art's wonderful little Faun. If you've seen my review of this, you could tell that I was enraptured by the quality of the carving on it, but a bit put off by one of the mould lines, particularly on the back of her left shoulder. I've cleaned the figure up, put the horns on, bit of green stuff around the horns just to cover the gaps up, bit of green stuff on top of the head just where there was a casting mark, and I've then spent a fair bit of time with the polishers and the sandpaper and sticks, just to smooth out that skin on the shoulder and back. And I'm going to stop the film, and then I'm going to focus in a bit closer. No fancy zoom on this camera, mate. And we'll have a look and see how it's come out. And there we have it, as close up as I think this camera's going to get it. It's cleaned up well. The next stage will be to put a primer on it. Put a light primer at first, just to see, just to make sure that I haven't missed any mould lines, because there might well be some there that I haven't seen. But it's cleaned up okay. Next stage will be to prime. Let's turn it around a bit. Let's see, we can have a look at the glories of a lovely little face and everything. There we are, steady down. There we go. Next stage will be to put a primer on it. As I say, I'll be priming in black, then adding the sort of lighting with white from above to the first highlights and shades. I don't want it too contrasty though, so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to be doing a film for the group build, which will show the priming stages in a bit more detail, and I'll be talking a bit more on that film about how I'm going to proceed with painting this lovely model. And this is my only modelling purchase of the month, saving up for Christmas. So let's have a look. It's an airbrush, and it's made by, well, it's branded by a company called Veda, and it's a cheap Chinese job. It comes in a very nice case with a magnetic catch on it. I'll just show you that. Plastic covering, and there's the brush with the bits it comes with. It comes with here a quick connect for a quick connector. It comes with a wrench for the nozzle and a plastic pipette. Now the pipette is just something you'll use once and chuck away, but it's actually very nicely packaged. It cost, including postage, it cost 20 quid from a supplier from the UK. It's a UK eBay trader that's specialising in importing Chinese brushes and spare parts. Tiny bit more expensive than they can be had elsewhere, but I think it's worth paying the extra £1 or £2 just for the insurance of dealing with someone who whose reputation depends on making sure these things work properly. So this is as much as I'm going to talk about this brush at this stage, but I am going to do a review of it because I'm really quite pleased with it. I have other airbrushes, and I bought this one to use with solvent-based paints, and particularly alclads, because I fancy trying some of those, because I've never had really much luck with spraying acrylic metallics. So look for a review of this brush, which will be show it in use, stripped down, cleaned up, etc. And I'll show it in use and tell you a bit more about where I got it from, and provide links at that stage. My goodness, I nearly forgot these little beauties. I got these earlier in the month. It's a box of zombies. I've done a YouTube review. Check it out. They're pretty darn wonderful. Indeed, my vote for Model of the Year. Well, Zombies of the Year anyway. Well, that's it. It's a bit longer than I anticipated, but well, I blame the zombies. I'll leave you with a picture of a metal flat that I painted for Mrs. Bob a couple of years back, and I'll take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy Christmas and a prosperous and healthy New Year. Well, that's it for now. If you've got this far, well done. I hope you found something of interest to you. So, goodbye for now. Thank you for watching. Come back soon.